YouTube viewers, Rectangular back, this time with another haul video. Here we have the Marvel Legends Infinite Series Hulkbuster wave, which includes 7 figures that you need to build the Hulkbuster Build-A-Figure. On the far left we have Blizzard, and then we have Thundra, War Machine, Vision, Iron Man, Valkyrie, and Doctor Strange. I was able to pre-order these online from a website and they just arrived today. Don't know yet what the street date's going to be for Target, and speaking of Target, I highly recommend, if you can pre-order this set online, I would go that route because the DPCI for these figures is the same as they are for the previous Avengers waves. So the way Target's inventory system works is typically their warehouse or their stores or their distribution center can't order anymore until stores have a lot less stock on hand. So you may or may not, depending on how much stock your particular Target has, you may or may not see these at stores. You might see them at Toys R Us and Walmart, but the way I understand how Target's inventory system works, you are gambling if you think you're going to find these at retail. Also, the packages are quite heavy with those Build-A-Figure pieces, so if you're hoping to get these shipped from a friend who lives on the other side of the country, he or she's going to have to pay a little bit more to ship them to you because they are quite heavy, especially the arms and legs of the Hulkbuster have got a lot of weight to them. So with that, today's Tuesday, Hasbro Toy Shop just put up the pre-order for these on their website, and they've actually got them at a slightly lower price, so I would highly suggest going that route, especially if you don't live in California. You don't typically have to pay tax where I do, and that is going to be the most economical way to get these, and also to ensure that you actually get the entire wave. You will get 2 War Machines in the case, so you know, if you want to army build them, that's great, but otherwise, you know, you can either customize it or sell it to somebody who wants them. Alright, well, enough politics. Let's crack the figures out of the package and get a closer look. I'm quite excited for these. Here we have all the figures out of the packages, and overall I'm very happy. Some pleasant surprises with most. There's only a couple of duds, I would say, or don't know if they're going to be common quality control problems, but definitely an issue with 2 of the figures, and one is just a sculpted issue. So let's see, let's start from the far right. We have Thundra, and overall I'm very happy. I think the paint turned out great on her. Don't see any major issues. The gold all looks really nice on her. The only thing that's a tiny bit off in all of the reviews and most of the photos I've seen of her is the crown piece is a little bit off center. I would like to have seen that lined up kind of a lot more straight with her nose, but mine is cocked a little bit to the left, so I'm hoping, you know, that's not going to be a common problem for everybody, but I wouldn't be surprised if it is. Very happy with the sculpt and the feel of the plastic. Everything feels really solid. Joints are nice and tight. Very nice range of motion in the hips. The belt is loose on her, where they glued the belt on Valkyrie. So I haven't quite decided if I'm going to glue that down or not. Don't know how much of an issue it's going to be. You know, if it starts to scrape the paint, because I think her torso is red plastic, and I think that they painted the abdominal area the Caucasian flesh tones, so you definitely don't want to move that too much or too hard on the abs, or you're going to scrape the paint off. The major issue I have with her is the hair is such a hard, the sculpt on the hair is so hard that I'm going to take her weapon, I'll just leave it in there, that you can't really, you can turn her head slightly to the, let's see, to the right, I think, no, to the left, I can't remember which direction, but basically the hair interferes with the articulation, so you can't really get her, I think that's about as good as you can get. You can get her to cock her head to the right a little bit, but to the left it's just not going to happen. So I know there's at least one person out there who's done a modification, so I'm thinking about doing that myself. But overall, the plastic is quite shiny there on her chest, so it would be nice to go over that maybe with a matte clear coat. Other than that, very happy. I think the paint on her face turned out really well. The costume, the gold, the striping, all turned out really well. And yeah, I think this is a very well done figure so far. Valkyrie, same body mold. This is basically the red She-Hulk. I did compare her with these females with the red She-Hulk body mold. At first I thought that the hips were different. With mine, it's just that it's just a red plastic, so it is a little bit. Well, they're all red plastic, but they are, it's a little bit stickier plastic, so it's harder to articulate this figure than it is these others. The plastic is a little bit sturdier feeling, and these figures are the black plastic without paint on it. It moves much smoother than the red She-Hulk for whatever reason, and very happy with the way that she can get her legs out. Really liking this figure a lot. The joints are nice and tight. I like the belt sculpted on or glued on, and oh, that was another reason I got the red She-Hulk out. Shartimus Prime just put up his review, and it definitely is a different mold than on Thundra and the red She-Hulk. There on the back side, you can see where it is slightly curved in, where this gal is completely rounded. So I think Shartimus is probably right when he was talking about initially they probably wanted to put flesh-colored plastic and have her more of a classic-looking Valkyrie, but very happy. The paint overall looks great. No major issues on mine. The only real issue I see as far as paint or sculpt is in the hairline. You can see the mold. I don't know if you can, that's showing up on camera, but there's a line on her hair where it's very noticeable there in the front, and it almost goes into her eyebrow. So I don't like that. Don't know if there's any way I can, hoping maybe I can shave that out with my X-Acto knife. It is just a flesh colored plastic on the face. It would be nice. I might try to soften that up with some paint, but overall very happy with her. It would be nice if there was a disc in the neck so you could have her look up. She does look down well, but looking up is a little bit more challenging. She can look up, but not great. There we go. So still like her a lot better than the Valkyrie that we got in the 2-pack. The Vision I'm much happier with than I thought I was going to be. the paint turned out really well. The hand is a little big, you know, that Spider-Man hand. Oh, and there goes Doctor Strange. But it doesn't really bother me as much as I thought it would. And, you know, maybe just because I haven't tried to pose him a whole lot yet. But really like the paint turned out really well on mine. It's just some minor areas where they could go into those grooves with the shiny green metallic paint there. But I think they did a pretty good job as far as matching up the actual plastic, that's the light green plastic, with the light green paint. You know, it's not perfect, but I think in most photos it's, you know, hardly recognizable. And yeah, I think the line work is quite well. There's only a couple of spots where he could use some more yellow around the top of his neck. But the face is not bad. I thought it was. I still think I think the head is a little bit small. I think his neck is a little bit beefy. So I kind of wish that they had gone with a Spider-Man mold for him, because his neck looks a little bit beefy. I don't really think of Vision as being that muscular. I mean, not that this is a super muscular body mold, but yeah, overall I'm happy. I'm not a big fan of this cape. I don't really like how skinny it is and how much it flares out. Wish it was a softer material, but it's not bad. You know, it's probably easier to deal with than the soft Toy Biz capes that we got in years past. Now we're starting to get into the stinkers. Doctor Strange, he has the worst paint of the ones I got, and it's not that bad. There just a couple of spots in his in the upper part of his chest there on the red. There's a little bit of red paint missing, and it's probably not even going to show up on camera because it's so dark there, but just a little spot of red missing. I can probably touch that up, and the same on the other side. It's a little bit faint in the midsection, but it's not that bad. At least the line is nice. There is a little bit of red paint that kind of bleeds into the black a little bit, and it's kind of missing in some other areas on the skirt piece. But overall, it's pretty decent. The gauntlets or whatever gloves are red plastic, so we shouldn't have to worry about paint rub there. Same with the gloves. Now is when we get into the issues. The head looks okay as far as paint goes. The mustache looks pretty good. Eyebrows look pretty good. I think you could use maybe just a tiny bit more black. His hairline is a little bit faint. It could use a little bit of black to touch up there. But the major problem with this figure is this disc in the neck. It is like it's ratcheted now, and that wouldn't be a problem if it was tight, but it's not, and it's like a bobblehead. So I don't know if you can see that. It just will not maintain. You know, you can have him all the way up, kind of drooping down, or all the way down. But you try to get it in any kind of middle of the way pose, you know, a little bit looking up, or, you know, it just will not. There's nothing you do. It's like there's a spring in there, and I absolutely hate that. You know, I am not the best ACB artist in the world, but you need to be able to pose your figure looking up in different directions, and this is not good for ACBA at all. So very frustrated with that. I don't know. Hoping that there's going to be a way to fix it. Probably going to have to wedge some paper in there, and pray that that is going to be something that we can fix, because that is not cool. Blizzard unfortunately has the same issue in the neck. It's not quite as bad. Well, actually it's worse. You can, in mine, it's actually bowing the plastic. When you have it, he won't even keep, his head can't even stay down. It just springs right back up. Spring-loaded head there. Hate that. And the top, you can see where the plastic is splitting. So the disc is way too big. Very frustrated. So I was worried about the paint. I didn't think I'd have to worry about the neck joint. The paint is pretty good for the most part. You know, it seems like all the Legends now have a problem when they paint the abdominal area there in the ribs, that they're not putting a second coat, so it's not getting in deep in those cracks. So I think no matter what, you're going to run into that problem. But the line work is quite nice on this one. Just a little bit fuzzy there on the top, and I did notice that his right side has got more blue than the left side, so I wish it was a little bit more symmetrical there. You can see that on camera. But his joints are nice and stiff. His arm was a little bit warped in the package. Not super bad. They're getting better, I think, at packing the figures in the package. His joints are actually a little bit on the stiff side, so I'd rather have them too stiff than too loose. It's easier to fix that. But yeah, this neck joint, that's a huge bummer. So I'm gonna have to find another one and hope that does not have the same problem. The Iron Man is actually quite nice. I really was looking forward to this costume design, and you know, I have this figure actually from the movie line. I can't remember if this is I want to say it's the Mark VI. Pretty much the same figure, except it's got a different chest piece. This one obviously has the triangle, but for whatever reason, this one feels a lot better, and I think it has to do with there's a lot of paint in the joints here, and where this is just black plastic, so it's a lot easier to move the joints, and yeah, there's not much paint that where you're actually handling the figure, so it doesn't feel quite so rubbery for whatever reason. The hand is a little loose on the left side. The right side's a little better, but overall I'm very happy. The only thing I wish is that I'm probably going to modify mine so that the disc will move back more so that he can get a better upward pose. I mean, it's not bad because the abdominal pivot moves really well, but yeah, I would kind of like him to look straight up so that when you're having this flying pose, you can see his face more. But you know, pretty simple figure, but it's very nice. I guess I'm just a sucker for the paint scheme. The only thing that's really kind of weak is the arc reactor. It looks like a teardrop instead of like a sunburst. So hopefully I can fix that with some paint. I don't know if I'll be able to find another one at retail, but yeah, I like that figure. And the War Machine, yeah, I was going to sell this figure, and I still might. The figure is pretty decent. The shoulder joints don't seem to move nearly as good as these over here. I don't know if, I think they're a softer plastic. They're kind of a rubbery, and yeah, I don't like that at all. But the shoulder joints seem to be, well, they're similar. I think they're bigger than the Iron Man there, but I already have a really awesome War Machine. I actually have two. I have the Walmart exclusive and the SH Figure Arts. Now you're asking, well, how come you don't show us the Jim Rhodes head sculpt with the open helmet? Well, I wanted to show you this because this is my SH Figure Arts War Machine, which is one of my absolute favorite figures of all time. And you can put this head on this figure and it looks fantastic as far as I'm concerned. You know, it's just sitting on there, but you can have him look up, and I think that looks so cool. Very, very happy that I have that open helmet there. So don't know if anybody will want to buy. If anybody wants to buy this without the Jim Rhodes head, then you know, if you're, because there's actually a lot of people who are going to army build him, then you know, hit me up. Maybe I'll let this guy go. I'm definitely not in love with it at all. And I'm not going into huge detail about the articulation or anything on any of these figures because you know, Shartimus Prime is doing his reviews, and other people have already done reviews on these figures as well. But I just want to give you my first impressions of how my set turned out, and how the paint applications are. Alright, let's get into the Build-A-Figure. I wanted to give you guys a little comparison of just how massive this Build-A-Figure is. Here on the left we've got the Marvel Select Juggernaut, and on the right of the Hulkbuster we've got the Avengers movie Hulk. And yeah, he is a gigantic figure. He's about a half an inch taller than Juggernaut, and probably inch and a half taller than Hulk, maybe even a little bit taller than that. But I think he stands about 9.5 inches, and the Hulkbuster, or I'm sorry, the Juggernaut is about 9 inches tall. So very awesome to finally get large Build-A-Figure again. And actually, this is the biggest Build-A-Figure that I've been able to pick up that wasn't already complete. I have, you know, Giant Man, and Fin Fang Foom, but one that I bought all the figures and completed myself. This is the biggest so far, so very cool. You know, I'm kind of a rookie at this compared to a lot of the OGs in the community, but overall I'm very happy with the Hulkbuster. One word of warning: when you're putting them together, there is a peg in the center here of the lower torso that is basically, there's a ball with like a cross section on it, and that is what attaches. You pinch the top parts of the torso together into that piece, and I highly recommend you articulate that ball hinge, you know, back and forth. Loosen it up before you put this thing together, because it was very stiff on mine, and I was afraid that once I got him together and started to articulate him, that I was going to break that hinge. So mine is still extremely stiff, but very, very articulated. You know, that abdominal area. Just to give you a comparison, you know, this Marvel Select figure only can pivot left and right, and has no has like a tiny bit, like maybe a half a centimeter, maybe, yeah, about a half a centimeter of articulation forward and back. So you know, this thing is very articulated, and I just want to show you that back. You can go all the way back like that. It's just very cool, and he's extremely heavy. Let's see. Yeah, dare to say he's almost the same weight as this. Now, the Marvel Select Juggernaut is a little heavier. Yeah, he's a little heavier than this guy. But very solid. I mean, kind of on par. The paint is not bad. The gold, I think, could be better in some areas overall. Not a whole lot of bleeding. Doesn't really look like they missed much. There's no gold paint on here. It looks just like gold plastic. I'm hoping to maybe brush some on. Same with on the back. but you know, I'm not going to complain. I think this is a great Build-A-Figure, and I am even more excited to get the Rhino. That's probably the most anticipated. I'm going to move this guy out and put in the Marvel Legends Hulkbuster from Toy Biz, and you can get that comparison. Alright, here we have the Toy Biz Marvel Legends Hulkbuster on the left and the new Build-A-Figure on the right, and you can see he's significantly bigger than this old Toy Biz one. Actually took me quite a while to find that Toy Biz one for a decent price. It's still a pretty decent figure, but yeah, this guy is quite an improvement. I think the gold paint definitely kind of makes this one have more character to it, so I think I'll probably end up trying to add some gold to this guy. It just looks a little bit too much like a child's toy, and not quite as threatening. I think maybe some black wash in some areas would really make this Build-A-Figure stand out as well. But overall, very happy. I highly recommend him, and I'm sure he's going to be pretty popular. Alright, well, hopefully you guys liked the video. You share with your friends, subscribe if you haven't already, and I always love hearing back from you guys, so please leave a comment below. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll talk to you guys later.